Foul. Again, we're just underway. 9:55. Here is Al Everhard. Back to Chris Ford. Gary Brokaw, who's been red hot, gives him up to Brian Winters, and here comes Lanier. Lanier moves up with a shot off the glass, and now let's go back to Don Criqui and Jerry Weston, Philadelphia.
Thank you, Brent. Back here by George, we have got some basketball game. It is in overtime, 2:52 left to play. A basketball game that saw the Buffalo Braves and the Philadelphia 76ers tied 32-32 at the end of the first quarter. At the half, with great team play in the second quarter, Philadelphia built up a 9-point lead. They quickly opened up a 13-point advantage in the third quarter. And then Buffalo rallied back. At the end of the third quarter, Philadelphia's lead was just 2 points, 89-87. Then Buffalo came from behind, took a 5-point lead in the fourth quarter. Philadelphia rallied back. Doug Collins hit a shot, and then with 1 second to go after Philadelphia taking a 2-point lead, Bob McAdoo hit the 1-and penalty to tie the game at 1:11. Now we're in overtime, and Buffalo has been dominant so far, but still we have 2:50 to play in the game, and Philadelphia has the ball.
A lot of time to go, but Philadelphia's going to have to score this time down.
They really feel they have to get a hoop here.
That's right.
They go to the race. Doug Collins. Too much on it. McAdoo gets the rebound. And Buffalo quietly brings it up the floor. Philadelphia's not pressing on defense as they did. They're giving Randy Smith time to bring it up at his leisure. I tell you, when he's not at his leisure, the guy looks like a blue darter out there.
You can imagine when he's going full blast.
Yeah, he can run 40 miles an hour. They say the only thing in Buffalo faster than Randy Smith are Bob McAdoo's 3 Afghans.
That was a crucial turnover down there for Buffalo, and now Philadelphia again has a chance to get back in this ball game.
118-113. Buffalo did not get a shot off within the allotted 24 seconds. 2 minutes to go. 2 minutes. Here's a foul on Dick Gibbs.
1:21.
Dick Gibbs gets the personal foul. He's about the only guy out there without a problem now. It's only a second. They bring the ball inbounds. It is 118-113. Buffalo with a 5-point lead in overtime. 1:50 left to play in the overtime. Fred Carter, who's been tough on the outside, working the ball in against Dick Gibbs. Carter wants to put something up. He does, draws a foul. And Fred Carter came down hard on his hip. But he's a tough customer. You couldn't hurt him with a hammer.
But what's really happening now to Philadelphia's offense? If you look, Fred Carter's dribbling the ball. If you can see the whole court, every member of Philadelphia's team standing watching. They got to get movement in this situation. Too much dribbling, and it's just killed them late in this ball game.
What would you do now if you were coaching the 76ers? What would you do if you're on the floor now, controlling this offense?
What I would like to see happen is to try to run some quick screens, either away from the ball, have the center come out high, set a screen, try to run something away from the ball, maybe to free a Doug Collins because he likes to play with the ball. If that's not open, then Carter can come off the screen and take the shot. But they're doing it just simply one-on-one, and you get no body movement that way. Also, you get very, very poor rebounding position.
Want to give special thanks today to our very fine team in the truck. Our producer, Tom O'Neill. Our director, John McDonough Jr. Our associate producer, Bob Stenner. Bob Dunphy, editing tape. Bill Barnes. Takes a lot of people to put one of these on.
It really does. And when they get it on the air and you see a ball game like this, it's all so well worthwhile.
Fred Carter is at the free throw line with 1:45 left to go. 118-115. He gets them both, and the Buffalo lead is cut to 3. We're in overtime. On the scoreboard clock here at the Spectrum, the defense sign starts blinking on as the 76ers fans pick up the chant. Jerry?
You know, Don, in situations like this, you have a lot of basketball players that don't want to even touch the basketball in games like this.
Going to come inbounds to the 76ers. Randy Smith protesting, but not too much. Doesn't take long for that T made. Make that T sign real quick.
Every call now is crucial. Every play is crucial. There's so much time left for Philadelphia to get the lead in this ball game. Buffalo just has to take better care of the ball, and they have to get a good shot. Philadelphia has to do the very same thing.
118-115. Buffalo with a 3-point lead. The 76ers with the ball. They lost the first game of this best-of-3 series in their home court Thursday night. Then won on Buffalo scored Friday night. Fred Carter catchings gets the rebound. Ken Charles tips it away. Lots of guys dive for the ball, and who gets it? A loose ball foul is signaled, and Fred Carter is holding an ankle. There's a guy down for Buffalo out there. It looks like the big guy, McAdoo. Bob McAdoo is down, but I'll guarantee you he will be up like a greyhound. And Fred Carter's got an ankle problem. He's got... See what happens here now.
I guarantee you with 2 free throws, Freddie Carter has no ankle problem. He'll be up there at the free throw line. They can't get him out of this ball game.
I tell you, if Buffalo wins it, they've done it the hard way, and certainly if Philadelphia wins it, they've done it the hard way. Buffalo's had the lead and has not been able to hold on. The 76ers have kept falling behind and rallying back, and now they can come to within 1 if Fred Carter can hit the shot and the penalty shot. Fred Carter with 30 points at 31. It's a 2-point game. In a moment, it could be a 1-point game. Fred Carter gets them both for the 76ers. 1 minute left to go in the overtime. 1 minute. 118 to 117 is the count. Randy Smith brings it on up court against Fred Carter. Dancing, jiving. He's going to take a shot. Oh! He threw in a prayer with 50 seconds left to go.
Don, it looks like when one team is going to make a move, the other team comes back and makes a very, very difficult job. I don't know about these players, but I'm kind of emotionally worn out.
Tell you. One more overtime to carry me out of here. Fred Carter puts it up. Papped up and in by Steve Mix. McAdoo is knocked to the floor, but no foul is called. Let's watch Steve Mix on the replay. Big play for Philadelphia. The 76ers are again back to within 1. And Buffalo calls timeout with 28 seconds to play. 28 seconds to go and 17 seconds on the shot clock. So again, even in the overtime, even now into the 53rd minute of basketball in this game, we're going to come right down to the final second again.
Definitely recommend a Datsun from the experience that I've had. Well, when I originally bought the pickup, I thought I'd be able to put about 50,000 miles on it, and then I was figuring on trading it off. But it's got 118,000 miles on it now. It's been absolutely the most durable vehicle I've ever owned, and I'll definitely buy another one if it ever wear out.
2 tough Datsun pickups, 7-foot stretch and 6-foot standard. No wonder Datsun's America's #1 selling small pickup. Datsun saves.
Hey, we're almost home, gang.
Yeah, I'm hungry. Me too.
Well, I've got a surprise.
Look at this, this is cooking, it's a meal. Oh, real goodness from the Colonel, here's a meal. You want a good meal, but you don't want a fuss. Come to the people you know you can trust. Real goodness from Kentucky Fried Chicken.
You've got such a nice daddy.
Is there a Swifty muffler shop around here? I got the guarantee.
Nope.
What did I tell you?
We got them all over back home.
This here ain't back home.
What do you do when you have muffler trouble?
We just mosey down to that Midas muffler shop.
What did I tell you?
You never know where you'll be when you'll need a muffler. But you do know one of our 800 Midas muffler shops will be there. Maine to California and Canada too, we're specialists. We have to do a better job.
We got the OT going here at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. 27 seconds on the overtime clock, 17 seconds on the shot clock for Buffalo, and the Braves with a 1-point lead. Randy Smith with the ball. They set a double post down low, Shoemate and Adams. They go to McAdoo, one-on-one with Catchings. He takes it inside. Foul on the play, and Big Mac will go to the free throw line with 17 seconds on the game clock.
Don, do you think Buffalo knows where their big man is? Every time they've got in trouble, he's given them something. He made the basket that put him back in the ball game, made 2 clutch free throws. Here he is fouling on the drive to the basket. Unbelievable
The big fellow
player.
from Greensboro, North Carolina. Went to Vincennes Junior College in Indiana for 2 years. One of the great junior college basketball teams in the country, year in and year out. Then to North Carolina, Chapel Hill. Played there 1 year, signed as a hardship with Buffalo. McAdoo has put in 32 points. Teammate John Shoemate has 23. They thought he'd be in a hospital today, but he got out of that hospital bed. Jim McMillan fouled out, the captain of the Braves, with 25, and McAdoo has 22 rebounds. Oh, the Big Mac is so tough when the heat is on. 121 to 119. He can give Buffalo a 3-point advantage here. Look what he did.
Somebody's moving a basket underneath.
The woman shook the basket. Tried to give Mac a moving target.
You know, when he made the 2 free throws to tie the game, somebody moved the basket, too.
That looks like that old Harlem Globetrotter thing where the guy fakes this free throw and everybody jumps. Big Mac stuck it out there.
Not very funny, that man, Jack Ramsey, nor Bob McAdoo. That's the second time it's happened, and the players have all complained about it.
That could be it. Going to be awful touch for the 76ers to catch Buffalo now, a 3-point lead with 17 seconds left, but they have come back, and now they call a timeout with 17 seconds on the game clock in overtime. The Buffalo Braves possibly winning for a second time on the away court in the best-of-3 series. The odds against that astronomical. They played the 76ers here 4 times in the regular season, lost all 4. And now in the playoffs when they had to win, they won 1 game here, the only other one they played, and they could very well win this one. The odds are on it, the Buffalo will.
Don, the reason that happens, I think, in playoffs, and particularly when you have teams that are not maybe the top 2 teams in the league, usually these other teams have defensive problems, and Philadelphia, one of the problems all year long has been their defense, and when you give up 122 points, even though the game is in overtime, you're going to have a chance to get beat.
Jerry, in 14 years in the NBA, you played in I don't know how many 7th games of championship series, and we've talked about this before in different games, just the whole tenor of the crowd, the whole aura of NBA playoff basketball. The press is up, the fans are up. It really is a second and new season.
Don, you tell yourself, boy, I'm so glad that other season was over with. I'm tired, I'm worn out. You get 1 day's rest and you go right back at these guys, and you just seems like you found a new body to take you through the playoffs with. And it is remarkable that these guys can play as hard as they have and then come in the playoffs and give an effort like this right on through the playoffs.
Boy, it is, I'll tell you. More than I can handle sitting here.
Philadelphia again now. They need another quick shot here, and then they're going to have to put on the press and try to steal the ball.
They're going to Lloyd free. He drives in. Tripped. He was... Randy Smith looks at it like, who, me? In the other game, we'll watch this replay first. Whoops, little foot ski.
That's allowed in outdoor basketball, not in the NBA. But that's the one thing you don't want to do when you got a close ball. You just don't want to foul, and Buffalo put themselves in a precarious position again by fouling. You have a chance to set up your press here in this situation.
One more shot.
One more shot, says Jake O'Donnell, working the game with Manny Sokol. Hey, John Nucatola and Commissioner Larry O'Brien, all the people in the NBA office must be awful pleased with the way this game and the officiating and everything about it has gone. It's been some NBA showcase. 14 seconds to go, 1-point game again, and Buffalo put it in bounds. This is unbelievable, this thing.
Take it from Dave Lennox. To efficiently air condition or heat your home, you need 2 things: quality built equipment and expert installation. Your local factory-trained Lennox dealer assures you of both. Something else, your Lennox dealer is unique. He deals directly with Lennox, no middleman, and that can save you money too. So for energy-saving comfort year-round, call your nearby Lennox dealer, no matter where you live. He's in the yellow pages.
Attaboy, Dave.
Roundup. It's a nice word for long days sitting in a hard saddle and long nights sleeping on the hard ground. But now comes Miller time, and those are beautiful words for the time when you head for the best tasting beer you can find. America's quality beer, Miller High Life.
If you got the time, we got the beer, Miller Beer.
Next Saturday, CBS Sports Spectacular will present the National Indoor Swimming Championships from Long Beach, California.
.122 to 121. 14 seconds left in overtime. The Buffalo Braves with a 1-point lead. They win, they go against the Boston Celtics. And the loser is, as we've mentioned, out of the whole thing. Done for the year. Back in August for warm-up.
Don, the danger here now for Buffalo is if they turn the ball over, Philadelphia has a chance to win the ball game, but also if they foul Philadelphia, if they miss one free throw, Philadelphia has a chance to tie the ball game again. So those last two free throws by Lloyd Free, very crucial.
Yes, this has had it all. Boy, they're having trouble bringing it in. They bring it into Randy Smith. Goes to Ken Charles. They're trying to foul. Then Freddie Carter made the diving tackle. Ken Charles is on the floor across the way. They want to foul Smith. He's not shot the free throw that well late in the season. 7 seconds left.
Don, you know, when they're trying to foul like that, I don't understand why they don't foul right away. They always let them, they ran off 7 seconds on the clock, and if they knew they were going to foul them, why not foul right away?
21. Well, the first foul was against Ken Charles, who was knocked down. That's the one they called. So Kenny Charles will go to the free throw line for Buffalo.
These coaches are moving guys in and out like it's a chess match out here today. I've never seen so many guys in and up off the bench.
7 seconds left, 122 to 121 in overtime. Buffalo with a 1-point lead and Charles with the free throw line. He gets it. Now, Philadelphia probably can do no better now. Charles had missed this one and sent it in another overtime. You get the play-by-play for that 5 minutes.
I don't think either one of them is going to be able to talk.
That's it. That'll do it. Buffalo's going to advance against Boston. 5 seconds. Lloyd Free coming down on the charge. They'll let him go right in. Puts it up and good. Time has run out. The game is over. The Buffalo Braves win it in a spectacular comeback. McAdoo just slammed the ball off the floor to hit the lights. 124 to 123. And they're out on the streets in Buffalo on Delaware Avenue, on Elmwood Avenue, ripping it up.
Toro engineers go to this estate in Newport, Rhode Island to show how the Grassmaster combines everything you'd expect in Toro's finest mower. You get Toro's exclusive high-torque engine. And watch how the spacious rear bag frees you to maneuver on tight turns and along edges. Grassmaster, the finest mower Toro's ever engineered. Innovative engineering is what makes a Toro a Toro. Haven't you done without a Toro long enough?
Who is that Dusty in the beer anyhow?
Man, is it hot. You know how those horses act out.
When you have to get the beer, don't fool around. Get the beer named after the city that means beer, Old Milwaukee. It's a tough name to live up to, but Old Milwaukee tastes as great as its name.
Great beer, Dusty. But what took you so long?
Well, I want to tell you, little fella. I got bushwhacked at the pass.
Back at the Spectrum in Philadelphia, a spectacular afternoon of basketball, and it's really just beginning. Very shortly, we're going to be switching to Milwaukee, where the Pistons and Bucks are underway in their third and deciding game. A great performance by Bob McAdoo, 34 points, about 26 rebounds. John Shumate with 23 points, out of a hospital bed to do it. McMillan with 25 before he fouled out. Randy Smith with 27. And for the 76ers, Freddie Carter, firing up time and again to bring the Sixers back with 32. And Collins with 25. There's the final. Buffalo advances. Philadelphia's out. Now let's go to Brent Musburger in Milwaukee.
All right, it is 32 to 27 here on this Easter Sunday in the first quarter. The showdown series between the Detroit Pistons, who are in the dark jerseys on the left, the Milwaukee Bucks in the white trail at 34-27. So far, Mindy Rudolph, it has been a game just as we expected it to go. Detroit coach Herb Brown took away Gary Brokaw by switching Chris Ford over on defense. Brokaw went out, and Jimmy Price, number 15, is now in at guard. Also on the offensive boards, Detroit has been dominating, just as they did in the first 2 games of the series, which were split. So far, it has been a home team advantage series. Here's Detroit, the big guy, Bob Lanier, missing with a hook shot, and again at the offensive boards, that is Curtis Rowe. 36-27, just seconds left here in the first quarter of the Milwaukee Arena. Brian Winters at the buzzers, got it. He puts it in for Milwaukee. It is 36-29. And Milwaukee coach Larry Costello brings the Bucks over to the sidelines. Herbie Brown, who took this team over in January and has done a splendid job down the stretch, talks to the Pistons.
You'll see the best in basketball when you watch the NBA. When you watch the NBA on CBS.
Hey kids, come on over and try this one on
In
for
your
size.
shopping list of what you want in an economy car, be sure to include all these standard features. All 4 Datsun 710s have them. Plus, room for the kids and the performance of a race-bred engine. Check the competition. They don't come close. Datsun 710. No wonder Datsun cars and trucks are America's #1 selling import. Datsun saves. Test drive a 710 sedan, hardtop, or wagon with your family this week.
The NBA on CBS will continue after this word from your local station. What will your car run on when there's no more gasoline? 60 Minutes has an answer. Tonight at 7, 6 Central on CBS.
Harris, Pittsburgh Steelers.
The harder the competition, the harder you have to play.
Gary Hansen, TWA.
TWA is up against more competition than any other airline. So to get you to fly with us, we have to be better.
Rick Barry, Golden State Warriors.
What makes a winning team?
Competitive spirit. Captain Davis, TWA.
This team, they've got a lot of competitive spirit. That's why TWA is out to be the best on-time airline in the business.
Nolan Ryan, California Angels.
Keep coming up with something new. That's how you stay ahead.
Laura Kulak, TWA.
Only TWA gives you your choice of movies, plus something new. Sports films on all movie flights.
If you want to stay on top, you have to be better.
The TWA, being the best isn't everything. It's the only thing.
Channel 2, New York.
Well, again, Mindy, congratulations to the Buffalo Braves on that tremendous overtime victory. They advance in the NBA playoffs. And here in the Milwaukee Arena, we have just begun the second quarter. The Milwaukee Bucks on the attack. Brian Winters comes up against Archie Clark, who has just come off the bench. It is 36-29. Detroit leads. This is high noon for these two teams. On the turnaround, Price in and out. Money battling for the rebound and comes out for Detroit. Bucks rotate back on defense. Here is Howard Porter, number 54, with his jump shot. David Myers out to Bobby Dandridge, number 10, and Dandridge brings it down for the Bucks into the corner. George Trapp, who has just entered the game, came over. Brian Winters was out of bounds. The officials, Darryl Geraldson just made that call, and Earl Strom, number 12, is working along with Darryl in this contest. And Mindy, we certainly want to pass along a very happy Easter to everyone, and we hope that they are able to spend a few hours with us this afternoon and enjoy these tremendous NBA playoffs here on CBS.
Hey, that first game that we saw was a dilly,
wasn't it? I just hope this one's as good. David Myers skies for Milwaukee, and here comes Brian Winters bringing it back down for the Bucks. Dandridge. Trapp came over and fouled him before he got the shot off.
Darryl Geraldson very emphatic about that. It's important to see if the ball had left his hands first. The big thing, the difference in this score so far, Brent, where we find a 36-29 advantage for Detroit, is the offensive rebound play of both clubs. Detroit has dominated the offensive board in the both previous games as well as this game, and almost every offensive board they've taken, they've converted into a field goal, therefore the lead.
Larry Costello, Mindy, has just sent Gary Brokaw in. He made the pass to Myers, who went up, and Roger Brown, number 20, got him.
First personal, second.
We'll pick this up on the slow motion now. The pass goes into Myers wide open, and a poor foul by Roger Brown. A possible three-point play. Those are good plays, but you just lay off. Give the guy the layup, forget about it. Lanier Mengelt will probably come back in here very soon, Brent.
You're right when you said bad foul on Brown, and Lanier is back up. He will come right in. The battle is won by Milwaukee, and Brian Winters outside. Elmore Smith goes up. Clark was there with him, and so was Howard Porter. And there is a foul against Detroit. It is on Archie Clark. That's his first, and already Detroit has picked up 3 quick fouls. Neither team went into the penalty situation early in the first quarter. But right now, as we begin the second, Detroit encounters foul trouble. And that can be so decisive in a playoff game down the stretch at the end of these quarters at the free throw line. Gary Brokaw, 36 points last Tuesday. Passes off the Winters, who comes baseline. Back to Jimmy Fox, who has just come off the Milwaukee bench. David Myers comes in. He can't put it in. Still again, he's battling underneath the board.
They're going to call a jump ball on this. Of course, the hometown fans don't like it. But you got to give Myers a lot of credit. That's exactly what Milwaukee must do to stay in this ball game. They've got to rebound on the offensive boards. They've got to take a second shot, which they did not do in the first quarter.
The crowd not liking the jump ball call. They wanted a foul on Trapp. It is won by Dandridge on the turnaround for Milwaukee. Bob Lanier inside position on Fox with the rebound. Clark brings it back down for the Pistons. Brokaw cuts him off. Trapp comes baseline drive. Does not count. They have turned it over on the side. An offensive foul against George Trapp.
Good defensive position by Fox that time. Just blocking off the driving lane against Trapp, causing the contact.
Mindy, it's 36-31. Detroit up by 5 on the strength of that offensive rebounding that you were talking about. In particular, Curtis Rowe in the first period. Junior Bridgman passes it off to Gary Brokaw. Here is Winters. John Mengelt will watch Bryant, who goes left baseline jump shot.
He has been the driving force behind the offensive play of the Milwaukee Bucks. They depend an awful lot on him for scoring inside as well as outside.
Lanier with great range bounces it off to Rowe, and David Myers sort of stumbled into him and lost control of himself. He knew it was a foul. This is the first time, Mendy, that we've had a chance to broadcast a Milwaukee game this season, which means it is the first time that we've had the opportunity to watch Larry Costello coach a team recently that did not include the great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The 4 players that he brought over from Los Angeles, all young, and they have guided this team into the playoffs, even though they finished less than 500. But the Midwest Division was not strong this year. Archie Clark with a miss. Loose ball picked up on the move by Winters. Cross-court pass to Brokaw was deflected out of bounds. Trapp and Clark were there.
Detroit has not scored a point in the second quarter here. They have shut them out completely.
Larry Costello is up, and he'll bring the Bucks over to the sideline to talk to them. And they're, of course, the very familiar and always present clipboard. Over in the Detroit side, it's Herb Brown and Larry Jones, who will be talking to the Pistons.
I really find my Datsun extremely durable. I drive it everywhere. I literally live in the car to a degree. And 247,000 miles on that Datsun, and it just keeps going and going and going and refuses to quit going. That's a durable car.
They're put together to stay together for Datsun savings that just won't quit. All 3 Datsun B210s deliver 41 miles per gallon highway, 29 city. Datsun saves.
Slow down, sis. Watch where you're going.
Sheriff, your new Johnson CB radio's coming in loud and clear.
I'm giving you one more warning, sis.
Johnson makes a very professional CB. Automatic speech compression, automatic noise limiting.
Remember, sis, be more careful. Now, let's get out of here.
Anything you say, Sheriff.
Keep in touch with the CB the professionals use. Johnson, the great American adventure.
10-4.
A Trailways bus has 2 things in common with European luxury sedans. One is independent torsion suspension on all wheels. Greyhound buses don't have this. Only Trailways does. Gives you the feeling of floating over the road. And the other thing, the enormous luxury one experiences when someone else is doing the driving.
David Myers has been a pleasant surprise. Mindy, he's been a bit of a disappointment ever since he injured himself driving against Tom Borwinkle of the Chicago Bulls.
That was in November, and he really hasn't been the same since. But so far, since he's been in this ball game, he's playing a great game for them so far.
One of the players that the Bucks got in the Abdul-Jabbar trade with the ball right now. Gives it off to Gary Brokaw, second-year pro from Notre Dame. A sensational playoff so far. Missed that time. Fox tips it right back to him, and Brokaw comes inside. John Mengelt with the rebound. Comes out on the dribble for the Pistons. Gives off to the big guy, Bob Lanier. Cross court, here's Archie Clark. Always in the playoffs. Puts one up, short, off the iron. Brokaw looks cross court, got Myers on the right ahead of him. Bad pass. On the turnover, here come the Pistons. Lead pass. Mengelt's got the hoop all alone.
Good defensive play by Detroit. A little sloppy by Milwaukee.
38-33. 9:06 to go in the second quarter. For the winner, it's the Golden State Warriors. The beginning of that series next week out in Oakland. Al Attles is here scouting this game. For the loser, an early vacation. Fox outside at the top of the circle.
There was a real mismatch. Mengelt picked up Fox, and Fox can hit from out there, and he is dangerous when he gets around that circle.
Winters picks up Archie Clark. Clark is working in the Detroit backcourt with Crash Mengelt, one of the more entertaining players in the NBA. You'll see him all over the floor before this one's over. Right up on Fox, he went offense.
Like you were looking through a crystal ball. Crash Mengelt just crashed himself right into Fox, who had good defensive position on the baseline. And we'll pick this up on the replay. Mengelt, the driving lane is open for a second as Fox closes it off. Mengelt going to the hoop, picks up the offensive foul. And as we find the score, 38-35 with Detroit in the lead.
Aerosol. Not an economical way to apply deodorant. In fact, you'd use up this 4-ounce can of the leading aerosol, buy another, use it up, buy a third, use it up, before you'd use up 1 2.5-ounce Speed Stick. Men and Speed Stick is solid deodorant. An even, effective layer of protection you apply directly. Nothing's wasted. That's why 1 million more Americans took our advice last year. They got off the can. They got on the stick.
The fuel-injected Datsun 280Z. Surely one of the world's great GTs. Reclining bucket seats, GT instrumentation, and performance handling. 2 or 4-seater. Datsun 280Z. Fuel injection perfection.
Next Saturday, CBS Sports Spectacular presents the $100,000 added Bluegrass Stakes, with Honest Pleasure competing in this last major race before the Derby.
Another one of the players that Milwaukee received from Los Angeles in the Abdul-Jabbar trade, Brian Winters, who already has put in 6 field goals. So offensively, Mindy, he's been keeping Larry Costello in this game.
Definitely keeping inside and outside, I might add. Depends upon who picks him up. He'll go down low. If Bunny's on him, with Mengelt on him, he'll probably stay outside and feed the ball inside.
They can pull to within 1 point if they can convert. And here is Winters, left alone, 7 field goals.
He has definitely been the hub of the Milwaukee offense thus far.
Lanier out high, gives off to Mengelt. 8:14 left in the first half. Here's Archie Clark facing the basket. Lob pass to the big guy. Winters drops back on the double team. Trap rotates over, uses the screen, and Winters got a hand on it. Fox takes it back. Milwaukee can go ahead for the first time. Brokaw right down the center. Winters on the left. Comes over to the left-hand side. The circle, he's red high.
Brian Winters has tremendous range. For an ordinary ball player, that would be out of anybody's range, but Brian Winters has it, and when he's open, he'll let it fly.
Detroit now will probably go to Lanier. Here it is. Double team. Myers got a hand on it. And a foul was called on Fox. They were double and triple teaming Lanier.
And you saw Winters just bounce off Lanier. He is a big guy.
Lanier is 6'11", 260. That, of course, Herb Brown, who a year ago at this time, Mindy Rudolph, was coaching the Tel Aviv Sabres in the European Basketball League, and Larry Costello, the only coach the Milwaukee Bucks have ever had. There have been rumors about Larry Costello, and we will dispel them before this broadcast is over. 7 minutes and 42 seconds to go. Milwaukee leads 39-38. Detroit can go back ahead, and it was Brokaw got a hand on the ball. Back now come the Bucks. They can go up by 3. Junior Bridgman to David Myers. Myers up, musical glass. What an afternoon he's having. Coming off the bench, the former UCLA star, turning in perhaps his finest game in the last 3 months for Larry Costello. Clark comes around Lanier, comes to the right baseline, drives completely underneath the basket, loses control.
And how important is defense and how important is adjustment to the personnel when Detroit has only scored 1 field goal here in the second quarter. It's an incredible display of defense by Milwaukee.
So while Milwaukee has tightened up, Mindy, as you say, on defense, they have been very tough down here at the offensive end. Jimmy Fox, who has replaced Elmore Smith, doing a job. Winters uses him to swing right and throw up the jump shot. He never keeps his tennis shoes on the court when he throws it up.
From any spot on the court, he is dangerous.
Here's 43-38 right now. 6 minutes and 49 seconds. Crowd in the arena, picking up the tempo. Want to see Milwaukee go on in the playoffs. Chris Ford against the shot clock, gives over to Everhard. Back to Chris Ford. Here is the big guy, double team, gets inside, left-handed hook, and he hit it.
And when they're in trouble, they go to the big guy, Bob Lanier. He was double teamed that time, but still made the field goal.
It's 43-40, Milwaukee ahead. And we've got a timeout called by Larry Costello. Brian Winters, who has been red hot, leads them over to the Milwaukee bench. Head coach Larry Costello in the gray suit. You're looking at some of the fans in the arena.
Each year, for more than 30 years, one company has insured more cars than any other. State Farm. Why? Maybe it's the reputation that we have for low rates. Or maybe it's that people like being treated as neighbors, and they tell their neighbors.
And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Well, he's getting the most that life can give, and he gets it in hush puppies. Yeah, the man, he really knows how to live, and he does it in hush puppies. Now he's fooling his happy day and night, the man's giver of tight hush puppies.
Cool Hush Puppies in special brushed pigskin that lets feet breathe. Yeah, breathe.
Now you can't be cool when your feet are uptight. Well, he's wearing hush puppies.
In 2 weeks, CBS Sports Spectacular presents the thrilling World's Championship Demolition Derby from Islip, New York.
Mindy, did you ever see a team work harder during practice than the Bucks did yesterday under Larry Costello, who is still diagramming?
We watched them yesterday, and he ran them through a series of maybe 6 or 7 plays. Now, I've heard tell that he may have maybe 60 to 70 plays in his playbook, but he primarily worked on 4 or 5 plays. One other thing about that practice that we attended yesterday, we also saw Detroit later in the day, and I must say that Detroit looked a lot looser in practice than Milwaukee did. They looked loosey-goosey with no pressure on them at all, and Milwaukee looked a little bit tight, although they were up by 3 right now.
Mindy, you know, there's a contrast in coaching styles. Herb Brown, the Detroit coach, I think is a much looser individual than Larry Costello. Right now, Costello's Bucks in the white jerseys have control. Harry Brokaw facing the basket. Milwaukee leads it by 3. Shot clock goes down. They'll have to hurry. Myers outside. Lanier with the rebound. Chris Ford will put it on, bring it up, pass off to Eric Money. Here's Curtis Rowe. Inside pass to Lanier, but the whistle was blown before Lanier fired off the shot. Elmore Smith, who just came off the Milwaukee bench, picked up that foul.
Happy Easter, little girl. What a pretty little girl. Now, that's a smart foul that Elmore Smith just committed, because if you're going to commit fouls, make sure they cut off a basket, which he just did against Bob Lanier. He had an easy layup coming.
5:55 to go in the first half. Curtis Rowe waits in Lanier, who has great range outside. Puts it up. Not there. And Al Everhard at the offensive board and a miss. The battle underneath. We've got a jump ball. David Myers. He has come to play this afternoon, Mindy.
Let me point something out here about this offensive rebounding. I've often talked about timing and position. Now, the one thing that Milwaukee does not do on the offensive boards, they do not get position. Now, you watch Detroit when they get on the offensive rebound. They'll get inside their defensive player as close to the baseline as they can, and they will control the board. That's what's happening out here.
jump, won by Milwaukee. There are the turnovers so far. Rice off to Brokaw. Starts to move to the hoop from beautiful shot. He was under control all the way. Gary Brokaw hits the field goal to put Milwaukee up by 5. Eberhard waits. Ford comes over to that side. Eric Money moves in toward the basket. He's left all alone. Out there, and David Myers was fouled by Throw. A loose ball foul as Myers hit the boards.
Let's watch this basket by Brokaw as he drives the lane under control, as you mentioned, all the way, and just lining the ball up with a little higher trajectory, I might add, to get away from the block by Lanier that time. Brokaw was shut off pretty much the first quarter, but he's coming to life right now.
Bobby Dandridge has just checked back in from Milwaukee. They can go up by 7, Mindy. That would be their biggest lead here in the first half. Junior Bridgman, who can play both guard and forward, goes to the basket.
I'll tell you, after being down by 11 and now up by 7, that's an 18-point swing. And that is tremendous offensive display, as well as good defense by Milwaukee.
5 minutes exactly left in the first half. Outside, Chris Ford hits.
Chris Ford. 47-42.
Brokaw brings it up against backcourt pressure from Eric Money of the Pistons. Bounces it off to Bobby Dandridge, and Rowe waits in. Elmore Smith comes out for the pick. Dandridge did not get the pass back to Elmore Smith quick enough on the pick and roll. Around comes Bridgman. Bounces off of Money. Comes up with the jump shot. Lanier battling Dandridge underneath, and he's got a jump ball.
I'll tell you, they're going to go 48 minutes all out, but there's no tomorrow, and all these teams you will see today, it's either pack your bags or go home.
There it is.
Look at
again.
that fierce rebounding. Wow.
Jump one by Detroit. They bring it up. Now we've got 4:30 left in the first half. George Trapp will come up with a jump shot.
Not very much on defense, Brent, but that's what they need, some power here to score. And Trapp is a streak shooter, as everyone knows. He can put them up.
Herb Brown is exerting a lot of pressure in the backcourt right now, Mindy. He's got Money and Ford defensively against Bridgman and Brokaw, so Myers comes down to help out.
Number 32,
Trapp slides in, and so Brian Winters comes off Larry Costello's bench. And apparently he cannot enter the game just now, Mindy, according to Darrell.
Winters cannot enter the game at this point.
Dandridge takes the pass and gives it back to Bridgman.
There was a reason for that substitution not being allowed, because he'd already given the ball to Brokaw, rather to Bridgman, and once you do, everything is off at that point.
Bridgman started his move, and he committed an offensive foul, just swinging the left arm out in front of him. So on the offense, the ball comes over to Detroit, and now they can pull to within 1 point. Watch again.
He has learned a veteran move now. A rookie, there it is, right around. And also, Chris Ford got banged on the head by Elmore Smith.
Trapp comes out, lets Money slide around him, and then faces. He'll take his second shot in less than seconds. Comes back up with an offensive rebound. Fake once, back up. Not there, Dandridge. Now with a defensive board. 3:56 to go. 47-44. First half of the Milwaukee arena. Bucks have been moving the ball extremely well here in the second quarter. Winters.
Unbelievable.
He is 10 of 13.
We saw it practice yesterday where they anticipated taking Money down low, and that's exactly what happened in that play. Larry Costello worked on that play, and Brian Winters will take Money down low every opportunity he can. Let's look for it.
Here's Lanier taking a pass, double teamed as Dandridge jumps back on him. Dandridge still there. Knocked it out of his hands. Elmore Smith hits Brokaw. Back come the Bucks. 3-on-2. Brokaw off to Dandridge. He traveled. Gary Brokaw turned it over.
One extra step. He didn't know whether to pass it off to Winters on his right wing or to give it to Dandridge on his left wing. Of course, that little hesitation caused the turnover.
Herb Brown, the Detroit coach, looks on. His team now can cut that Milwaukee lead to 3 points if they can convert here. 3:12 left. Pass inside of the big man. Lanier, left-handed hook. Rowe and Myers took it away from him. I want to tell you, David Myers came to play. Lead pass, Elmore off his hand. Does not have the best hands among centers in the NBA. Misses for the jump shot, and Bobby Dandridge went up and committed a loose ball foul, battling for the rebound. That is the second personal against Bobby Dandridge and the fourth team foul against the Bucks. Eric Money from the left side comes across to Chris Ford. Gets Brokaw off the floor. Dandridge jumps out. Lanier takes the shot off the top and out of play.
Good switching defense that time by Milwaukee, picking up the open man and giving Lanier the outside shot, forcing him away from the basket.
Money and Ford again in the backcourt. 49-44. So three of the players who came from L.A. are on the floor right now. Brian Winters, David Myers, and Elmore Smith. Junior Bridgman is over on the bench. Here's Winters. Top of the circle goes back to right side. They've got to watch him, and they do. Myers inside, and Lanier was there, but it counts. Goaltending against Bob Lanier.
And Brian Winters makes this play possible with a straight ball handling and looking for the open man. He finds Myers open with the mismatch, and there's the goaltending off the glass. Once it hits that glass, it's hands off.
Mendy, we've got 2 minutes and 20 seconds left in the first half. 51-44. Money with a good fake on Winters. Puts it in. 51. 5-point lead. Money tried to come out, and Winters kept it. Here's Brokaw in the lane. Taken off by Trapp. Lead pass. It's 3-on-1. Only Dandridge back. Money off to Rowe. Rowe slides it in. Lead pass as the Bucks come back quickly. 51-48 right now. A 3-point Milwaukee lead. And Brokaw wants to set something up. Here is Dandridge. Elmore comes out to pick on Rowe. Dandridge takes Rowe down to the baseline. Wants to try to rotate around him. Turns around with a jump shot.
Bob Dandridge going 1-on-1. Now he'll give you a little bump before he goes up for that jump shot. It's very, very difficult to block because he shoots it from so way back on his head.
Still a 5-point lead. Wide open to Lanier. Elmore Smith was off of him. He was fronting him, and Lanier dropped back, and he had an easy one. And Herb Brown did not appreciate some action he saw away from the ball. That's why he was yelling that time after the basket. He wanted a foul call. Now here's Eric Clinton. Pistons on the run here in the late stages of the first half. Chris Ford comes back to tip it in. It's 53-52, a 1-point game.
And if there's one player that can turn the Detroit pitchers on, it's Eric Clinton. He can lead the fast break. He has the speed. He can penetrate. He can hand off. That's why they've closed the gap here.
Inside of a minute right now. It's a 1-point basketball game. Brokaw gets around Money and lays it up. Pretty move. Ball wouldn't go. Elmore Smith offense.
There was no way Elmore was going to miss that one. He was going to dunk it, and no one was going to stop it.
Pistons can move to within 1 point here. 40 seconds on the clock. Rowe throws it up. Nice play. And he was fouled.
We'll pick up this dunk by Elmore Smith. Off the miss. Elmore wide open. He knows Lanier's behind him, protects his body, and there was just no way anybody was going to block that shot.
Mindy, I hope our director, Sandy Grossman, and our producer, Chuck Milton, can get us a real tight shot of David Myers' face. I don't think this season long I have ever seen an athlete in the NBA play with the intensity that he is demonstrating right now. It reminds me so very much of the night he played for UCLA against Kentucky in the NCAA final. He is a truck when he wants to bring it to you. And he has not been aggressive the last couple of months. But what a performer he's been. He's helped so much on the boards, which is where Larry Costello was suffering.
2 for 1. Talk about suffering on the board. In the first 2 games, Detroit had 35 offensive rebounds to Milwaukee's 9 offensive rebounds. And that's what Myers is doing today. He's controlling Detroit off the offensive board and protecting that ball.
Right now, Mindy, Milwaukee leads it by a point and 30 seconds to go in the first half from the arena. Great halftime coming up with Red R back and a look at the Golden State Warriors. Here's David Myers, pass inside to Elmore. Had it knocked away by Lanier. Milwaukee retains control, and Lanier sliced into it.
We're in the penalty
Bob,
situation.
How many is that? 3 fouls or 2?
20 seconds,
2 fouls on Lanier, the scorer tells me across the way.
And I'll tell you, Brent, on that last play, Bob Lanier gave him an arm chop, a little karate chop, of course accidental, but some of the nerve ends must be a little still in his arm. Trainer working on Elmore Smith. That's his non-shooting arm, so it's not that difficult a problem.
I mentioned Larry Costello. As you take a look at Herb Brown, the Detroit coach, what an interesting matchup this is, because it has been rumored that both coaches' jobs are on the line here this afternoon in Milwaukee. Well, we have been told that Larry Costello will be rehired, that it will be a unanimous vote by the board of directors, that there is absolutely no question about Larry Costello losing his job here in Milwaukee. If he wants it, he can come back and coach the Bucks regardless of what you have heard or read. However, Herb Brown, if he can win today, there is no way he'll lose his job in Detroit. But if they should lose this game, then there is a slight question about his future. But there is no doubt that Herb Brown and Larry Jones have done a fine job with the Pistons as they came down the stretch. Right now, their team trails Milwaukee 55-54. Just seconds to go. Lanier. There was contact as he came up with that left-handed hook shot.
Detroit was looking for the last shot. They might have taken it. Milwaukee will only have 3 seconds to inbound the play, and Lanier has really lost his touch. He feels like he should have made that. He has only had 2 field goals this particular quarter, and that is way below average for Bob Lanier.
Herb Brown yelling instructions. That is the 3rd foul, Mindy, on Elmore Smith. He will go out, and Tim Fox checks back in. Fox is one of those great unsung players in the NBA. Elmore Smith in receiving treatment over on the sideline. Mindy, as you pointed out, some of the nerve endings there in that left arm may have been deadened a bit when Lanier powdered him down there.
Let me tell you, when you take a chop from Lanier, you've got to feel something.
You better believe it,
And
huh?
if you don't feel it, you're going to feel nothing afterwards.
6'11", 255. There's that arm.
Looks like they got what we used to call the crazy bone.
All right, 2 for 1.
That's a terrible feeling in your hands. You ever get hit in the elbow there, Brent? It really deadens everything in your fingers.
I was a coward, so I avoided all that contact. At the buzzer, Bridgman gets it off. Not there. It's 56-55. Lanier at the line has put Detroit ahead. Herb Brown walks off, and we take another look at Mr. Intensity here in the first half. Folks, David Myers came to play.
You'll see the best in basketball when you watch the NBA. When you watch the NBA on CBS.
You've got a mile of boxcars chasing you home. It's getting close to the end of the line. You can almost taste what's coming because the next stop is called Miller Time. Time to head for the best tasting beer you can find. America's quality beer, Miller High Life.
If you've got the time, we've got the beer. Miller Beer.
Hi, gang. No, this ain't a beer. It's STP oil treatment. I take care of my own cars, and I've been using STP for the last 10 years. The troops at STP tell me it makes your oil tougher, even a premium 10W40. And it helps reduce engine wear and you burn less oil. What I'm telling you is it works. And you can take that to the bank.
If you couldn't register to vote last time around, do it this time around. If you couldn't register to vote last time around, do it this time around.
Brought to you by the National Basketball Association as a public service.
Red Auerbach on Round Ball. Red Auerbach on Round Ball is sponsored by Consolidated Cigar Corporation, makers of Dutch Masters cigars.
Ross Billings of Dutch Master Cigars is in charge of curing the world's most expensive to-grow wrapper tobacco. Instruments in the dark curing sheds can tell him a lot. But only his master's nose can tell the moment great tobacco says it is ready to be a Dutch Master cigar.
That's beautiful.
Now you know why a Dutch Masters like our president taste so good. They really are masters at Dutch Masters.
There we go. Now, what good is possession of the ball? What good is great defense if you got a big man that may throw the ball away? Now, we have Wes Unseld, in my opinion, the best passing big man in the game today. Guarding Elvin Hayes, also from the Washington Bullets. Clem Haskins on the defense from the Bullets. And Mike Reardon, also from the Bullets. Now, what we're trying to do is to show that even though you're a good rebounder and get the ball, it's too easy to throw away. Now, we just demonstrated Wes Unseld throwing the ball on a two-handed outlet pass. Now, Wes, how do you feel about that? How do you prefer to throw it?
Well, Red, I think I would rather come down on the floor, get my position, and then make the pass.
Well, that's an interesting point, because a lot of kids that throw it in the air, they throw it as they get the ball, and they don't look, and they throw it away. So your most important point is to lift your head up first, see what you're going to do, and then make the throw.
That's right.
All right, now, Mike, take the shot again. You got him, Clem. Wes, do it this time with the one hand. All right, just a little sidebar here. Now, you notice that Clem Haskins, who was guarding Mike Reardon on the play, as soon as that shot went up and he saw that Wes was going to get the rebound, he immediately went from the defense to the offense on the side, knowing that Wes Unseld will get him the ball. All right, now let's go into a pivot. You're in a pivot, Wes. You got the offense. Mike, you're on the defense. Now, watch how a big man operates from the pivot. All right, now that's a little shovel pass. Now, you notice when Wes threw that pass, he didn't hit him with the ball. But you notice how he just gave it a little shovel pass. Very simple. What's your objective when you're making a little simple play like that?
Well, to give the man a good pass.
Exactly.
The thing is to hide that ball. Don't let this man behind me see what I'm going to do with it.
That's right. In other words, you're protecting it with your elbows and your body, and you're hiding the ball. Now, that's a good point. Okay, cut by him again. Now, watch this pass. Now, there's a little hook pass. Beautiful play. A simple, over-the-head pass. What is the objective of all passing? Somebody's got to catch it. You don't want to see how strong you are, how tough you are, how hard you can throw the ball. You want him to catch it. That's the purpose of it. Now, you fans out there, remember one thing. Possession of this ball.
Money and Ford again in the backcourt. 49-44. So three of the players who came from L.A. are on the floor right now. Brian Winters, David Myers, and Elmore Smith. Junior Bridgman is over on the bench. Here's Winters. Top of the circle goes back to the right side. They've got to watch him, and they do. Myers inside, and Lanier was there, but it counts. Goaltending against Bob Lanier.
And Brian Winters makes this play possible with a straight ball handling and looking for the open man. He finds Myers open with the mismatch, and there's the goaltending off the glass. Once it hits that glass, it's hands off.
Mendy, we've got 2 minutes and 20 seconds left in the first half. 51-44. Money with a good fake on Winters. Puts it in. 5-point lead. Money tried to come out, and Winters kept it. Here's Brokaw in the lane. Taken off by Trapp. Lead pass. It's 3-on-1. Only Dandridge back. Money off to Rowe. Rowe slides it in. Lead pass as the Bucks come back quickly. 51-48 right now. A 3-point Milwaukee lead. And Brokaw wants to set something up. Here is Dandridge. Elmore comes out to pick on Rowe. Dandridge takes Rowe down to the baseline. Wants to try to rotate around him. Turns around with a jump shot.
Bob Dandridge going one-on-one. Now, he'll give you a little bump before he goes up for that jump shot. It's very, very difficult to block because he shoots it from so way back on his head.
Still a 5-point lead. Wide open to Lanier. Elmore Smith was off of him. He was fronting him, and Lanier dropped back, and he had an easy one. And Herb Brown did not appreciate some action he saw away from the ball. That's why he was yelling that time after the basket. He wanted a foul call. Now here's Eric Clinton. Pistons on the run here in the late stages of the first half. Chris Ford comes back to tip it in. It's 53-52, a 1-point game.
Now, if there's one player that can turn the Detroit Pistons on, it's Eric Clinton. He can lead the fast break. He has the speed. He can penetrate. He can hand off. That's why they've closed the gap here.
Inside of a minute right now. It's a 1-point basketball game. Brokaw gets around Money and lays it up. Pretty move. Ball wouldn't go. Elmore Smith offense.
There was no way Elmore was going to miss that one. He was going to dunk it, and no one was going to stop it.
Pistons can move to within 1 point here. 40 seconds on the clock. Rose throws it up. Nice play. And he was fouled.
We'll pick up
Myers
this dunk by Elmore Smith. Off the miss. Elmore wide open. He knows Lanier's behind him, protects his body, and there was just no way anybody was going to block that shot.
Mindy, I hope our director, Sandy Grossman, and our producer, Chuck Milton, can get us a real tight shot of David Myers' face. I don't think this season long I have ever seen an athlete in the NBA play with the intensity that he is demonstrating right now. It reminds me so very much of the night he played for UCLA against Kentucky in the NCAA final. He is a truck when he wants to bring it to you, and he has not been aggressive the last couple of months, but what a performer he's been. He's helped so much on the boards, which is where Larry Costello was suffering.
2 for 1. You talk about suffering on the board in the first 2 games. Detroit had 35 offensive rebounds to Milwaukee's 9 offensive rebounds, and that's what Myers is doing today. He's controlling Detroit off the offensive boards and protecting that ball.
Right now, Mindy, Milwaukee leads it by a point and 30 seconds to go in the first half from the arena. Great halftime coming up with Red Auerbach and a look at the Golden State Warriors. Here's David Myers, pass inside to Elmore. Had it knocked away by Lanier. Milwaukee retains control, and Lanier sliced into it.
We're in the
and
penalty
Bob,
situation.
How many is that? 3 fouls or 2?
20 seconds,
2 fouls on Lanier, the scorer tells me across the way.
And I'll tell you, Brent, on that last play, Bob Lanier gave him an arm chop, a little karate chop, of course accidental, but some of the nerve ends must be a little still in his arm. Trainer working on Elmore Smith. That's his non-shooting arm, so it's not that difficult a problem.
I mentioned Larry Costello. As you take a look at Herb Brown, the Detroit coach, what an interesting matchup this is, because it has been rumored that both coaches' jobs are on the line here this afternoon in Milwaukee. Well, we have been told that Larry Costello will be rehired, that it will be a unanimous vote by the board of directors, that there is absolutely no question about Larry Costello losing his job here in Milwaukee. If he wants it, he can come back and coach the Bucks regardless of what you have heard or read. However, Herb Brown, if he can win today, there is no way he'll lose his job in Detroit. But if they should lose this game, then there is a slight question about his future. But there is no doubt that Herb Brown and Larry Jones have done a fine job with the Pistons as they came down the stretch. Right now, their team trails Milwaukee 55-54. Just seconds to go. Lanier. There was contact as he came up with that left-handed hook shot.
Detroit was looking for the last shot. They might have taken it. Milwaukee will only have 3 seconds to inbound the play, and Lanier has really lost his touch. He feels like he should have made that. He has only had 2 field goals this particular quarter, and that is way below average for Bob Lanier.
Herb Brown yelling instructions. That is the 3rd foul, Mindy, on Elmore Smith. He will go out, and Jim Fox checks back in. Fox is one of those great unsung players in the NBA. Elmore Smith in receiving treatment over on the sideline. Mindy, as you pointed out, some of the nerve endings there on that left arm may have been deadened a bit when Lanier powdered him down there.
Let me tell you, when you take a chop from Lanier, you've got to feel something.
You better believe it.
And if you don't feel it, you're going to feel nothing afterwards.
6'11", 255. There's that arm.
Looks like they got what we used to call the crazy bone.
All right, 2 for 1.
That's a terrible feeling in your hands. You ever get hit in the elbow there, Brent? It really deadens everything in your fingers.
I was a coward, so I avoided all that contact. At the buzzer, Bridgman gets it off. Not there. It's 56-55. Lanier at the line has put Detroit ahead. Herb Brown walks off, and we take another look at Mr. Intensity here in the first half. Folks, David Myers came to play.
You'll see the best in basketball when you watch the NBA. When you watch the NBA on CBS.
You've got a mile of boxcars chasing you home. It's getting close to the end of the line. You can almost taste what's coming, because the next stop is called Miller Time. Time to head for the best tasting beer you can find. America's quality beer, Miller High Life.
If you've got the time, we got the beer. Miller beer.
Hi, Yang. No, this ain't a beer. It's STP oil treatment. I take care of my own cars, and I've been using STP for the last 10 years. The troops at STP tell me it makes your oil tougher. Even a premium $10